Welcome to Healing the Tigress, a podcast of conversations and stories on Asian American Pacific Islander maternal mental health. We are your hosts. I'm Peggy, a perinatal mental health therapist.
And I'm Jasmine, a clinical pharmacist who is perinatal mental health certified. Both of us are Taiwanese American mothers who have lived experiences of postpartum depression and anxiety. It felt like we didn't see anyone who looked like us also struggling with their mental health in new motherhood. But we would go on to learn that it wasn't just us and that there was so much more to perinatal mental health.
So we created this podcast because we know that sharing these stories can begin to break the stigma of mental health in our community, and we want to help heal the inner tigress in all AAPI parents. Let's get started. Hey listeners, happy Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month and happy Maternal Mental Health Month too. Can you believe we are at the end of season 3 already? It has been an incredible ride so far since the fall of 2023. We have been so honored and grateful for all the voices contributing to the mission of our podcast, which is to destigmatize and normalize mental health topics for parents in the AAPI community. And we have over 60 episodes now at this point, if you count our subscriber episodes.
Wow, that's been a ride. Now, we don't usually do a season finale episode, but we thought we would do one this year. And mainly because starting at the beginning of this year in 2026, we had to make some shifts to think ahead for the future of Healing the Tigress. And after working it out amongst ourselves, we thought it was important to share it with you, our listeners. And that's what this episode really aims to do. We want to be transparent about our process because it does involve our mental health. And we have always wanted to be promoting that there's less shame, stigma, and secrecy around mental health. So that's why we're choosing to share it with you guys ahead of time. So let's get into the heart of it.
Let's get into it.
Yeah. And so when I say beginning of 2026, I think it really did start back in January. We had a conversation. I call it like kind of the ominous email. Peggy sent me this email in January, and it was literally titled Future of Healing the Tigress, which is, I think, going to be the title of this episode too. And I saw that email come through, and my emails are very like, I don't actually read a lot of emails on my phone. I choose to do it like on the computer where I, really I'm just focused on it. And so I'm not distracted when I'm on my phone. But I do have selected like primary emails will come through. So occasionally one or two, literally like only like a handful slip through. And Peggy's email slipped through. It was her name. It had that title on the subject. And I was like, oh my God, what does that mean? Like, I just had this like thumping in my heart, and the little like AI summary of the email pops up, and it was like feelings of burnout and, discussions of how to be sustainable. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, is this going to be a really scary email to open? So that's kind of how I felt. But as soon as I opened the email and really started reading it, like Peggy wrote this beautiful, really sweet email, just sort of talking about how we love the work that she loves the work we're doing. I love the work we're doing, but we want to make sure that we're not burning ourselves out. And I don't know if it's because it was January or something, just like the beginning of a new year that we wanted, you start thinking ahead about your goals and like the things you're doing. And yeah, this email was basically kind of saying, let's talk about it and problem solve a little bit to see how can we continue to make this passion project work out between the two of us without getting to the point that we're both so burnt out. Right. I don't know if you want to take us back to like what you were thinking when you wrote that, but that's a summary of what I got from the email.
Yeah. And I think what is really important to even note is for us to have made it this far with a podcast is huge, especially because this isn't our full-time job. But I think one of the things that I realized even after writing the email and talking to you, Jasmine, was the hilarious irony of it all, of how much what was behind that email was a sense of tiger momming myself and the work in Healing the Tigress.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right, there was something about January. I think it was because there was like right before that was winter break, and there was so many things we're scrambling for the holidays and everything. And suddenly I would look at our schedule and the editing and all this stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm behind, or like, oh, I need to be doing more, or maybe I should be doing this. And then I started to feel self-critical, like, oh, am I doing enough? Am I letting Jasmine down? And these feelings of like inadequacy, and I knew that couldn't be true, like that, Jasmine, you weren't like thinking those things, but it was important
Absolutely
to
not.
like say it out loud, to be like, I am doing this to myself. And that in itself is an indicator of, have I taken on too much? And I think there were like certain days, like I would write it and then I let it sit there and I would reread it and then I'd write it. And I, I think, did I put in that email, this was not written by AI?
Yes, you did. That was the PS, which is so funny because we have had discussions about how like, oh, like we hate like using AI to
Yeah.
write things, and like, because we're both writers at heart,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, to us it's just like, it just feels less heartfelt, and there's certain things you can tease out about AI, but I totally did not think that was written by AI. You're like, this is completely heartfelt. This is really long email. But yeah.
Yeah. And we share this because, there is a future of Healing the Tigress that, we're trying to figure out. And I think that was like, as I was writing that email, I was worried. I was worried if I continue to try to operate this way and not communicate or check in even with Jasmine, because then Jasmine, you opened up, you're like, me too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling this too. And it was like, big sigh of relief, like between both of us, when we're like, you're feeling this too, but we were just on our own separate like tiger mom islands of
Yep.
tiger momming ourselves. We've healed it as parents in so many respects and creating the space to heal from it, but we were just kind of secretly doing that to ourselves.
Yeah, it was like a big turning point learning moment. Like, I just commend you on the bravery to even start that conversation and send that email out, because it's like, confrontation is not one of those things I like. I feel like I'd rather just bury my head and keep going and just like suck it up, which is not what we're here to do, right? We've been, like you said, we've been trying to get over that. And so I'm really grateful that you took that first step, because like you said, it opened up this portal to discussion. Because yeah, I was feeling that too around the winter break time. I remember I suddenly started, was like, okay, I'm gonna make this checklist for us. We're gonna like get dates for like when these things are due. We'll like check them off. These are your tasks, these are my tasks. And you know how you were saying how like you felt like you were inadequate? And it's so weird because on my end, I felt like I wasn't doing enough because you were taking on so much of the load of editing. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to make sure that our schedules are set up, that we have guests lined up, that we have our questions all, in order, and all the forms sent out, all the things collected. And I was just kind of starting to feel frazzled by like the hunt for lining up our schedule so that we would be ahead in the new year, because that's something that we do try to do, is that we do try to record a little bit ahead of time so that we have things come out on schedule, on our biweekly schedule, because we, like you said, we're working moms. We have other jobs outside this. So in order to make this work, we have to think several steps ahead of the schedule so that things come out when they do. So I don't know. I felt like I was starting to like be behind. I was a little worried. We had a few slots that were like question mark, question mark. Do we have this guest lined up or not? And yeah, I think that I also was starting to feel like, is this a sign of burnout? Is this just the holidays, with everything creeping up? Maybe I'll feel better in January.
Mm.
So I'm glad that we had an honest conversation about what we were feeling.
Yeah. And what I love most about the conversation we were able to have together was also that ultimately the resource of providing Healing the Tigress is of utmost importance to us. We've seen how it's been so impactful for so many people. We've had such great conversations with guests, but also at what cost? Like at the cost of our own mental health to try to scramble to do these things and be
Yeah.
moms and take care of things and work and stuff. And so finding that balance. And I think one of the things too in the email was like, do we stop? Is this the end of healing the tigress? Or what can we do so it's not? And I think that part
Right.
was really helpful to feel like the answer wasn't, hey, does this mean we stop? Because I think that was my fear. My fear was like, if I am feeling this way, then I cannot keep doing this. And that didn't feel good. And I think that it was nice to know that it was like, no, we're both feeling this way and we don't want it to stop, but we can find ways to make it more sustainable. And I think it's hilarious that like I did not use AI to write the email, but then AI summarized it and took away all the heart from it and did like the exact opposite, which is like, here are these key like anxiety inducing points that are in this email without all the parts that are like,
Right.
I love you and our friendship and this partnership.
Right.
All of that was taken out.
Yeah. Oh, I need to turn that thing off. It's not that helpful. I don't even know how I want to.
Same.
Yeah, because I mean, like reading that email from you and how you were like, even if this podcast doesn't continue or live on or anything, or if we don't do any more work, that the main thing we really do value and want to preserve was our friendship and what we've gotten out of this. And I so felt the same way, is that I would never do anything to jeopardize our friendship for the sake of burning ourselves out to the ground, right? So with that in mind, we started to, there was like that release, that relief, and then we turned to problem solving, right? Like, how do we problem solve our way out of this? How do we make this more sustainable for the both of us? And I think we both agreed that with the current season that we were in the middle of, with season 3, we had already had so many spots kind of just laid out. And, there were a couple of question marks, but I think it was more towards like the end of the season and how we would space things out. And I think we agreed that we would finish out the season the way we had originally planned, but maybe we would take a few, I guess maybe we would incorporate a few things that would make it a little bit easier for us for the rest of the season. And then going forward in season 4, we would make a few other changes. Yeah.
So I think a part of what we realized was making this feel really hard to keep up with was the frequency of our episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And bi-monthly is honestly, in the world of podcasting, not that frequent. But the fact that it's on top of our full-time job, and then you have to think about, hey, there's going to be like a spring break sprinkled in here and there. There's a winter break sprinkled in there. There's now a ski week sprinkled in there or whatever. That suddenly our windows of opportunity for things like recording and editing and preparing questions and communicating with guests ahead of time, that window of opportunity to do that gets lesser and lesser. And then if you also add in that we do have subscriber episodes just for our subscribers, that is another recording time. So if you think about how often we are putting out episodes, that means then how often are we recording episodes, how often are we editing, etc., how often are we preparing. So one thing we thought of was, what if we offered monthly episodes in the next season? And we have heard from some listeners that they're still catching up on some episodes.
Yeah.
So we're like, oh, okay, maybe they don't need to be that frequent. Like this isn't like the daily or something,
Right.
And people maybe will tune into certain ones because the topic really stands out to them. Or maybe then they finally catch up because they're like, okay, now I want to listen to this one. Maybe there's only a few people who every time it comes out, and you guys know who you are, you listen to it right away.
Well, and it was those people that were telling us that I'm behind. And I'm like, oh, and there are like usual listeners, and they usually have conversation with us about the topic of that bi-weekly episode. And so I think that was reassuring to hear that, like, and not every topic resonates and feels like something that you immediately want to tune into. You might save it for a little bit later or get to it when you get to it. I'm the same way with the other podcasts that I listen to. I have tons of them that are like, okay, I want to go back and listen to this. I just haven't had the time. And for me, mostly I have to be in the car. Like I have to be driving somewhere to listen to it. For me, that's the real place that I get to focus. And so if I don't have opportunities for that, I may not listen. So yeah, I do. That's one of the big things that will change for next season is that we are going to attempt more a monthly cadence. So it will come out once a month with an episode. But I do think we will still sprinkle in some subscriber episodes. Um, as you might have noticed, they are not as regular. And, we wish we could be regular about it. But the reality is, like Peggy said, it's another thing on top of everything we do. And we really are grateful for the people that do subscribe because it does help support us in the work that we're doing. A lot of this is free labor that we don't account for, just like a lot of free labor that moms do. And so it will be less frequent next year, but we actually have a pretty full season already. I think we're actually pretty much lined up for all
We
of
are
season
booked.
4.
Can't take any more
It's
guests
crazy.
for next year.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the cool thing about what we've been doing so far is that like now we are really being approached by people that want to be on the podcast. I think I had to create an interest form this year because we were getting these requests, and sometimes there are some of them you can totally tell are like AI generated emails sent to us by people that are totally not even in the realm of AAPI, maternal mental health, and we're like,
or even mental health, some of them, like,
right,
what is this?
like, did you even read the title? But for the people that are truly interested, like I did create like an interest form so that we could kind of better focus on what topics that they want to talk about, that we can make sure it's a good fit, that we can do this together, because now we will have even more limited guest spaces going forward into our other seasons. So this is something we're going to try out, and hopefully I feel like even just the thought of it gave me some sense of relief. I don't know about you, even though we weren't doing it right away, because in January up until now, we've still been putting out bi-weekly episodes. Bi-monthly. I never know which one. Yeah.
Or actually, no, bi-weekly. Bi-weekly. Every other week.
Every 2 weeks. We don't put out 2 a week. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I do feel that way too, because it wasn't like we suddenly were producing less, but then it was like a permission was given to ourselves to not have to stress out as much about it or feel like we're keeping up with this invisible expectation that nobody was setting for us but ourselves. We did actually start to implement some minor small changes to the episodes that we were planned to do next season, which is actually asking less questions, which you may or may not even notice as a listener. So like even the prepping takes a lot. So like if we're trying to come up with 8 or 9 questions or something, then we're like reviewing them. But then also if you think about it, if we're asking 8 or 9 or 10 questions per episode, that takes more time. So you may have noticed starting in January of this year, some of the episodes are shorter, and that's because we are asking less questions. So that kind of has this like trickle effect. If we're asking less questions, one, it also means that the guests get to talk a little bit more and not us like asking these questions, but then also the episodes will naturally be a little shorter, which also makes editing a little bit faster because it's not a, 1 hour, 20-minute episode that I'm trying to edit. So that is something that we already started to do that has also helped a lot. That is like a preview of how things will be next season. And then we're also potentially kind of offering some space to folks to have ads. So if you listen right now, you'll notice sometimes we do have ads, and that comes through Buzzsprout. But we wanted to also offer listeners and people to kind of organically be able to have their own. So the ones that we get right now are through Buzzsprout only, and they are ads for other podcasts. But this year, you noticed that one of our guests, Emily Chuang, was able to have like a Mother's Day special for her photography. And then we are having one for another guest, for Dr. Jenny Kim, for her Kickstarter for her book. And so these are what's called mid-roll placements. Either folks can record them themselves and plop them in, or we will record a blurb that they want us to say and plop them in. And again, this is so it helps fund the editing tools, the recording platform, the hosting platform. I often dream of having an upgraded plan for our Riverside, so I have even more editing tools that make my life easier. But it's, again, most of it's out of pocket. And right now, that's still something that we are footing from our own pockets. But that will make us putting out these things easier. Maybe there will be a day where we can go back to every other week of episodes if some of those things are alleviated. We'll be right back after this short message.
Hey, Healing the Tigress listeners. This is Dr. Jenny Kim from episode 45. You may remember my story about losing my baby Joey before he was 7 months old and how I parented through that grief. When someone we love dies, they are still part of our lives. So last year, I wrote and created a customizable picture book called Look to the Sky, reminding loved ones that their love lives on through everyday signs. Now we are trying to make this book more accessible to the community, even if it is not a personalized one. So from now until May 23rd, I've launched a Kickstarter campaign to bring this community edition book to more grieving families, hospitals, and the people who support them. We reached our initial goal, but I need your help to get to the stretch goal so that we can bring this book to even more grieving families who may need the support. Find the Kickstarter on grieversandfriends.com and help me continue this mission of helping grieving families navigate their loss. This is a way Joey still continues to live on and touch lives, and I would appreciate your support. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And I do want to just point out that we love supporting other AAPI folks and the projects that you're working on and things like that. So that's why we had sort of thought up this idea most recently after talking with some of our guests, because we're like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we help to promote your business? We'd really love that if we could help you along your journey in achieving your goals. And so it doesn't have to be just promoting our guests. We'd love if you have a cause or something that you would like a placement for. We're trying to work out some sort of system where we could help you get that onto our podcast, and it wouldn't be very much cost at all to you, I don't think. It's going to be something very nominal, and those placements of that little sound clip would go into all of our episodes. Any episode you listen to, there's a little placement for it in any episode, and you can have that be available to more people listening, which is pretty cool, I think. So yeah, that's one thing new that we will start up more in the next season. If you are interested, just reach out to us and let us know. And yeah, these are all little things that I think we're just trying to make it sustainable for us, in the long run, either less questions and shorter edit time. I think also less questions makes it a little bit more organic for our guests to open up about other things, and we might go down a different road that we weren't planning to, because it gives us a little bit more wiggle room. So I do also like that aspect of that in our interviews. Yeah. But like we said, we already have a lot of amazing guests lined up for season 4. I don't know. Are we allowed to tease some of them?
Yeah. Well, I also want a big shout out. I always call Jasmine our chief of public relations, because she is really the one that pulls some of these amazing guests. She has a je ne sais quoi about her that just she'll reach out. And people say yes, and you're like, oh my goodness, how did you do that? So big shout out. This is why this is a team effort. I think I would just be like, we'll be on my podcast, right? I don't think I could make it happen.
It's weird. Peggy and I like talking a lot about astrology and our horoscopes and things like that. And I've learned a lot from her. And I attribute this now to my Leo rising. I will call it that. And that's how much I've learned so far. So yeah.
She shines like the sun. So here's some teasers. For season 4, we will have a guest who is our first news anchor, which I'm super excited about, but also intimidated, because who better to have a radio voice than an actual news anchor?
I know. I'm actually a little bit nervous too, because she's a real journalist. We are just amateurs over here. So it'll be cool.
Yeah, we have more authors, which is always exciting. And what's really nice about that is just seeing more AAPI faces writing books.
Well, not just authors of books for adults. We have a children's author. We had one this season with Joanna Ho. That was amazing talking to her. So we'll have another children's book author, and we actually have a couple returning guests for the first time. I feel like because we're going so far into the seasons now. We're up to, preparing for season 4. We have the luxury of being able to reach back to our guests and check in on them on their journeys and what they've been up to and their life updates. So that will be kind of cool, I think, to see that continuation of their journeys. Yeah. And I think we have another dad. So we always do try to include a male guest for our dad listeners out there, our male AAPI listeners, because I do think it is important.
Yeah.
Even though this podcast focuses on maternal mental health, we still cannot forget the whole picture, which is our partners in that setting.
Yeah.
But I do think that with going down to monthly episodes, it really kind of gives us back some time. I think that's the thing I was kind of craving and missing after a couple seasons of this is, and we talked about this in our emails back and forth, is just like, I feel like I'm always doing podcast stuff with like spare pockets of time. I have like one day off in the middle of the week, and that's the time that I use with you to record. And surprisingly, our guests have been really accommodating to, being able to record during that day. But also, I just feel like I can't really move my day off around because I'm always kind of keeping it available for the podcast. And I'd like to find back some time for just myself and not rushing to get to like finishing up stuff so I can get to a podcast recording. It will be nice to maybe open up a little bit more time. I'd really like to get back into writing. Like I really would. I just feel like that's been missing in my life. And I'm hoping I'll get more of that this summer and going to the fall.
And if you are not already subscribed to Pearls of Jasmine Substack, this is my shameless plug for Jasmine because she is
going to do that.
She did not ask me to do that, but she is a really great writer, and I think I would love to be able to read more of those newsletters. So if us kind of whittling down the frequency gives you more of that creative outlet, then we're doing the right thing. And I think that's true. Like, how are we also taking care of our mental health by doing that? And part of this is, what can we do to continue supporting our mental health? And it's so interesting because, was it first or second season? I forget, where we would end each episode with like, what are you doing for your mental health?
Yeah, I think it was first season.
First season, right. And just because we stopped asking it doesn't mean we stopped asking ourselves it, And I think that is a really valid question of like, what are we doing for our mental health? And I think we really want to be able to be in a good space to be able to put out such great resource. I'm reminded of and Honi Patel's episode, and how like, if you're the captain of the ship and the captain of the ship isn't doing well, then the ship sinks. And it's like, we're the co-captains of the Healing the Tigress ship.
Yeah.
And so we have to be taking care of ourselves so that the ship continues sailing and, I don't know, picks up more passengers. I'm losing the analogy at this point.
Yeah. No, it's true though. And not just, I feel like not even just writing the Substack, but like a secret, and I know that's not that secret, I've announced it and put it out there in the world, is that like I do eventually want to write a book. And I feel like I need to start piecing some things together and really trying to make this happen. But I know that entails so much work. And right now, like, people say like writing a book is like birthing a baby. It's like a baby. And right now my baby is this podcast. And I don't know, maybe I have to make time for a third baby. I'm not sure. But yeah, I just want to be able to experiment a little bit with that if I have some more time.
Maybe it's like this baby is now like, I don't know, a toddler, a little bit more self-sustaining, and now you can go start to grow your next one, which is the book.
So weird. I never would think I would have 3 kids. And yeah, speaking of, extra kids and stuff, I mean, we're just joking, of course, about these figurative kids, but in the sense of having actual kids, you may know that Peggy and I have chosen to be one and done. So if you are interested in more about that, we did release a subscriber episode this month about how we found peace in that journey and really shared more personally about those details. So that is in our subscriber episode area. For those of you who are unfamiliar with it, it will be in the show links. You can go to Buzzsprout, healingthetigress.buzzsprout.com. And if you click on the subscribe or follow button, it will walk you through how to basically subscribe. And then you have access to all the other past episodes that we've had for bonuses and catch yourself up on that. But we appreciate that support if you wanted to subscribe. Yeah.
And if you did notice this past week when the bonus episode came out, we do have non-subscriber tease episodes. So you got to listen to like a good 10 minutes of that episode and you're like, oh man, I want to hear the rest of it. That's to encourage you to check it out. And we're probably going to do a little bit more of those so that people get a sense of what they might be missing out on if they really enjoy the bonus episode content. That's also another new thing, but you may have noticed, you're like, what's this in my podcast platform? What is a sneak peek? That's a brief excerpt of bonus episodes just to give you a little appetizer, a taste to see if you want the whole meal.
I don't think I've ever walked out after having an appetizer though. Yeah. But I think I'll throw in also another maybe teaser of what's to come in our subscriber platform. If you were to subscribe and want to stick around, is Peggy and I are in the works of recording something about Chinese school. This is something that's weighed on my mind for quite a while, and we've talked about it with each other about the decision to send our kids to Chinese school or not, and the pros and cons of that, and raising kids in this as the next generation down, and the importance, or maybe we forgo it, and that's something that's always been big on my mind. So that's an upcoming episode. So more to come on that. But yeah, I think this is kind of a good sense of telling people, what's happening in the world of Healing the Tigress, the future direction we're going. The main thing is I really love what we've created with our partnership and the community that we have built around this. It's really just, I feel like now a place where we can uplift and amplify and connect people with AAPI stories and projects. We really encourage you to share if you like our work and invite more listeners and friends to follow along.
And don't forget to leave us ratings on whatever podcast platform of choice you listen to us on. And then especially on Apple Podcasts, you can also write a review. And those really help us. We don't understand the wizard behind the curtain of it all, but the more ratings and more reviews we get, the more this becomes the go-to resource for AAPI maternal mental health. And that's what we're doing it for, right? We're not doing it for the fame and the glory. We're definitely not doing it for the money.
Definitely not.
We really are doing it so that there isn't another AAPI mom or parent going through this journey feeling alone. And so the more you share, the more you review and leave ratings and just make it known that this is a resource, the more that we can be in the ears of someone who needs to hear their story told.
Yeah, completely. Like, we really love hearing from friends and people and direct messages of how much they love the work we're doing. And if you could take that message you sent to us and just plop it in a review, that would be amazing, so that other people also know how valuable this is to somebody else out there, that maybe they'll want to continue also to listen as well. So just thank you guys so much for following us along. Or if you're new to here, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this journey to really, really break down those walls of stigma against mental health in the Asian American community. And even if you're not Asian American, like, I think a lot of these themes and topics can still resonate. So thanks for being here. We want to thank you deeply for tuning into this episode of Healing the Tigress. The more we share these stories, the more we can help our AAPI mothers and partners. If you enjoyed this episode and our mission, you can help us out in the following ways. Follow our show wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a rating and/or a review, and share our podcast with a friend.
We also encourage you to follow us on Instagram at Healing the Tigress, where we hope to build a community of healing tigresses and give you updates on what's coming. And if you want more bonus episodes, please check out our show notes for how to subscribe to our exclusive content. Or you can also head over to our Buzzsprout page at healingthetigress.buzzsprout.com. We are not for profit. We are here to help our community, but any support you give us is so deeply appreciated. Above all, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being here.
Healing the Tigress is produced and edited by Peggy and Jasmine.
Music for this show is remixed by Dr. Tony Huynh of Tony Mixes.
Our intro music is a cover of You and Me by Z Avi, played by our co-host Peggy.
Our outro music is a cover of Green Island Serenade, played by Jasmine's sister.
Cover art design is by Dr. Angela Chung.